What's up, everybody? This is Paul. This is a new episode of the most commonly asked pre-PA questions. Let's go. Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back. So today we're going to answer a few pre-PA questions. It's going to be myself and Aubrie Jones. She is a PA student. She is starting school at Marshall B. Ketchum in the fall. So we thought it would be appropriate to go ahead and answer some of your questions regarding pre-PA. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first question that I have here is, how did you control pre-application and anxiety? Really good question. I love that question. For me, it was actually really tough. And the reason was I had gotten accepted into medical school. That was my original plan throughout undergrad, is that I'm going to become a doctor. But moving on, I applied. I got to learn more about the PA profession, and that's when I had a change of heart and decided to go ahead and apply to PA school instead. So I canceled my acceptance to med school and I waited another year. I applied to PA school, so pressure was on. My family was kind of frustrated with the fact that I rejected my medical school acceptance and that I'm pretty much taking a gap year. I had to explain to them what PAs are, what PAs do, why I'm going the PA route. And like I said, the pressure was on and I needed to make sure that I get accepted first cycle. So here is what I did. What I did was I tried to do my best when it came to putting in the work into the application. I made sure the application is reviewed by multiple people. I made sure I am reading about every single program and every specific detail that I need to know. I didn't want to put applications out there that did not meet the qualifications. So that was really important because a lot of people will throw out applications without making sure they have met all the minimum requirements for that program. It's important to put in the work, but also after you have put in the work, after you have, put in your research and did all that, it is important to just let it go. What I did to let it go was I was exercising at least twice a day. So I think you can, release that anxiety by working out or by getting into a hobby or getting into something. And after you do your application and put your 100% into it, just let go do that hobby, go do whatever you want to do in order to help you with not getting burnt out and stressed out. Let's go ahead and see what Aubrie has to say about that.
So honestly, for me, a lot of anxiety that came with the application was kind of knowing that there was so much to do and I was afraid of missing something. So what really helped with that was to create a spreadsheet and like a little checklist to make sure that I wrote down all the things that I needed to get done before I hit submit. And then as I started to check them off, my anxiety kind of started to, wane a little bit. It also helped when I realized that at that point when I was applying, there really wasn't much else I can do. So what I had on my application was what I had on my application. So now your whole focus should really be on things that you can actually control at this point. So this includes making sure your CASPA application doesn't have any spelling errors or grammar errors, making sure your personal statement is strong, making sure that you have letter of recommendation writers that will write a good letter for you, not just write you a letter, but a solid letter. So I would just say don't focus on what you can't control and the future in terms of interviews and stuff. Just focus on what you can control right now, and that's making sure that your application is strong and error free. But honestly, just breathe. Once you're done with CASPA and you hit submit, just take a moment to breathe.
So the second question is, how did you prepare yourself to start PA school? That's a really important question. For me, it was pretty interesting because I decided to just meet up with friends, be more social, go out with my girlfriend as much as possible. We decided to go take a trip to Cancun just to get, refreshed and to kind of change scenery before I start school, which was really great. My advice though, if I were to go back, I maybe would have picked up a few books specifically for me. It was anatomy and microbiology. They were like 3-4 years old for me, and I needed to kind of get a little bit of a brush up. My first microbiology lecture, I was just like,
what is going on? And I was lost.
So I would recommend picking a book, an hour a day, something. Don't stress yourself out, don't burn yourself out, but also get familiar because it's going to help when you start school. What I also recommend is what I'm doing is I'm posting a question a day on my Instagram page. I'm going to link the Instagram page in the description. And what it is I think it's going to be beneficial because even if you don't know the topics, even if you haven't studied the topics, seeing the questions, and I also put an explanation to why the correct answer is correct. So seeing that, it's going to take a few minutes of your day, but when you actually get to study those topics when you're in school, it's going to make a huge difference and it's going to be familiar. So you'll be able to do better than if you didn't have the preparation. And these are free questions. I'm doing it to help you, but also to help myself study because it's motivating me to put in the work and to get up every morning and put something out there to help others. Also, we'll see what Aubrie has to say about that too, since she's in that boat at the moment.
I haven't started yet. I will start in August, but I am kind of preparing now. So I had planned on doing some traveling because everybody suggests that, but COVID's kind of switching that around, so I'll probably have to save traveling until after I graduate. For now, I'm just kind of basically brushing up on my anatomy with like a coloring book I have, and then also luckily my medical scribe job helped me keep up with some medical terminology. Other than that, I'm just kind of doing like the logistics. I'm applying for scholarships, I'm looking for housing, and kind of figuring out ways how I'm going to pay for PA school. So a lot of my prep right now isn't necessarily like academics because I know that will just come at me hard and I don't want to burn out early. But a lot of it right now is more logistics of how I'm going to finance PA school and like where I'm going to live and all of those logistics. I have been trying to read a little bit to kind of get used to reading again. I'm not a huge fan of reading and I know I will be doing a lot of it in school, so I need to get used to being in that mindset again because it has been a while since I've been in school. But it's just light things, nothing too serious because like I said, PA school, what I've been told is, you hit the ground running. So I don't want to overload myself now and then be tired by the time I start school, but I do want to get into a routine and get comfortable with studying again before I start. I also got an iPad to take notes on, so I'm trying to get used to that before I start school, so I'm not like trying to figure that all out while I'm in class. But honestly, other than that, I've really been enjoying my break, especially with COVID. I've lost my job, which is sad, but I am actually enjoying this time to be with my family and to just have a moment to breathe without like the guilt in the back of my head to make me want to do something. So having this like guilt-free kind of break has been nice, I'm not gonna lie. I'm hoping it'll give me the rest I need to like accumulate energy so I can start PA school strong and like continue strong.
One of the other questions we got was, how can I find a PA to shadow if you don't have the connections? Believe it or not, you do know somebody. You have your primary care provider. That's really important to utilize the primary care provider when it comes to that. So what I recommend is if you don't have, a friend or the connection to go talk to a PA or shadow a PA, go to your primary care provider and ask them, hey, can I shadow you? I want to go into PA. Actually, that's one of the things I did is I shadowed a nurse practitioner for a couple days. She was my primary care provider. So it worked out. I was able to shadow more PAs and more providers, but that's where I started. So it's important to do that. You can try that. If they're not able to do it, if they're not open to doing it, what I recommend is go to a clinic close by, dress up professionally, and go ask to talk to the PA or to the doctor or whoever you want to shadow. If they're available to talk, then great. If they're not, then get their contact information. Send an email requesting if you can shadow them for a couple days and explain why you want to go to PA school and why you want to shadow them. You'd be surprised, a lot of people will say yes.